Touching
Ons moet so begin.
moments. Good evening, everyone. Wow. Really a touching moment there, as we go back and reminisce about that wonderful moment in Japan. Alberic, good evening to everyone. Good evening to you, and welcome to this very special Tekkel Live show.
How's Annie? Yeah, it's definitely a special one. It's not every. We haven't been fortunate as Springbok supporters to celebrate this kind of moments. 1 year later after winning a World Cup. But yeah, it was a special week for us. It was a special time for all South Africans. And so yeah, we're just glad to be here, and yeah, glad to have another show of Tekkel tonight.
And what a beautiful anthem, probably the most beautiful anthem in the world to start off the show. It just brought goosebumps to me. There we go.
Wonderful.
Yeah, just a special moment. So guys, thanks so much. We are here, we are live, and thanks so much to each and everyone for joining us again tonight. Most importantly, thanks so much to each and everyone who submitted their videos and photos. That call to action to submit that that moment, hot pictures, exciting pictures. We're going to show some of them, and that just brought some of that emotion back. So this episode will obviously focus just, this week we celebrated 1 year since Siya Kolisi, Rassie Erasmus and the Springboks won the World Cup in Japan against the English. And that is what our focus will be all about. So thanks so much for being here. Alberic, obviously we dedicate this episode especially 12 months ago. What a special moment in Japan.
Yeah, many South African will still remember it. And if you think about it, I mean, the fact that, you looked at the celebrations that happened, following the return was phenomenal. I mean, the amount of supporters that pitched up at the airport and, followed the Boks throughout the nationwide tour. Which is great to see. It was really such an awesome moment to see for our country and to see how it brought people together. And that's what the Boks do. I mean, we speak about it a lot when we speak about sport and the power of sport and how it brings people together. But the Springboks just has that special something, and they know when to turn it on for not only on the sports field but also for the country. So yeah, Springboks, hats off. A year later. Well done, guys. We're still proud of your performance, man. Well done.
And to all the viewers out there, I see you on social media a few weeks ago. A series started called Chasing the Sun, produced by SuperSport and SA Rugby. If you didn't see that, you probably missed a part of your life. Yeah. You need to go back to episode number 1 and start watching. I think it's a five episode series which ended last week. Also available on Catch Up as we speak. But what an episode, behind the scenes footage of these, I would almost say, larger than life athletes, but to see that emotional side and when you win you laugh, when you lose you cry, but sometimes you get that social touch. You go behind the scenes into the lives of these superstars. And you really see that they are only human, but what a series to watch, Alberic. I'm sure that you follow that series, Chasing the Sun, and we had a lot of comments from rugby players abroad that also saw it. It was just a special series to watch.
It was really one of those well shot, well directed. I just felt like you were really in the cloakroom. You were in in those inside talks whenever Rassie spoke. Maar Jessie, ek het net een vraag vir die wat kyk, man. Wie het gehuil, man? Wie het gehuil? Want ek het trane gestort. Dit was 'n tranendal in my kamer. En ek bedoel, die feit dat Rassie so, hy was so emosioneel oor veral Makazole, Pimpi, and just that moment was just shows, besides the character of Makazole that Rassie spoke about, but also Rassie's character. I mean, it just shows, the man, he's not just a brilliant brain, he's got a heart behind that brain as well, which is fantastic. And I think that's a lot of times what we, with all respect to the previous coaches, Rassie brings that, and you can definitely see it. He started off with his selections and picking Siya Kolisi, as the first black captain of the Springboks. That's a massive statement to make. So Rassie, he comes with heart, and he comes with a brilliant brain, of course, and that's what we love about the man. But yeah, Chasing the Sun, really phenomenal. Guys, please watch. Those who haven't watched it yet, please, you have to check it out. Brilliant. Loved every minute of it.
Brilliant production. We will get into your productions, guys. You also send us your videos and photos. We'll get to that. Maar ons het nie vergeet nie. We got some flack for the team we chose last week. I see the comment there also from is it Anthony Nati, but last week we selected a Super Rugby unlocked side. We posted it, and obviously the majority said, it was a good side, we like your side. But there was a lot of people that they came to us and say, hey, you missed this one. Why not Wandile Sibilani? How did you manage to miss Marco van Staden? So guys, yeah, Alberic, the two of us, we selected the side. We couldn't even agree. And obviously there's gonna be viewers that differ with us, and we welcome that.
And doesn't it show just the amount of depth that SA Rugby has right now? The fact that we can argue. If we picked the team 3 years ago, nobody would argue with the team, because that would probably be because we only had one scrum off, we only had one of this and one of that. Now we've got a selection of locks to choose from, fullbacks and fly off. So it's great to see. It just shows the depth that we have. And again, with Super Rugby Unlocked, and we'll touch on that right now, they brought that old provincialism back, where people are starting to say, hey, Morne stay in his house, so maak al die bulle bokke. Ek stem mee saam, ouens. Maar yeah, look, the Bulls were phenomenal. We'll get into that in a short while.
No, for sure. Later on in our series of Tekkel Live, we're obviously going to select another side. That team was selected purely based on what we had last week. And then, Alberic, wil jy oor die Super Rugby Unlocked praat?
Nee, ons hoef nie vanaand daaroor te praat. Ek is seker die mense vir glad hier oor weet nie, maar kom ons touch op. Just to look at the results, of the last weekend. It's obviously been a great weekend for some and a poor weekend for others. Lions kicking off the weekend with a big win over the Griquas on Emirates Park, 61-31 against the Griquas. The Pumas losing to the Sharks, rejuvenated Sharks, I would add to that, at 1942. And then the Bulls just managed to pip the Stormers with a score of 39-6. Kijk, that game, there was 20 minutes left and the game was called off because of lightning and obviously there's dangers that comes with it. But that, if it wasn't for that 20 minutes, the Stormers would have pulled it back there.
Yeah. Listen, we had a big chat about the Bulls Stormers game last week, and we had two experts coming in Shafiq and Adrian, speaking to us. Both of them predicted, obviously had their predictions, but we all knew that there was this big performance in the Bulls. We knew that it was coming, yes. And unfortunate for the Stormers, it came against the Stormers. The Bulls, they were rampant from minute one. The Stormers looked, it was just a lackluster, unenergetic performance.
For sure.
I think the Stormers played more poorly than the Bulls playing very, very well. They had no answer. They just looked out of it. And that difference there, 39 points to 6. Alberic, with all respect, it could have been much, much worse if we saw 80 minutes of rugby. And surely Dobson now needs to go to the drawing board, because I believe the Stormers, they are good enough to come back. Yeah. But mentally, surely that's a big mental dent.
No, for sure. And the Springboks, and it is laden with Springboks. We've got enough Springboks in that team already, in the Stormers team at least. But yeah, the Stormers just look lackluster. They, Mone looked like he was 19 years old running on the field, and he looked phenomenal on Saturday. So yeah, yes, the Stormers, they didn't pitch up on the day at all, and it could be various factors, man. But yeah, they have to. In fact, I've been noticing that obviously the last 3 weekends of Super Rugby, we've picked up that the Storm just managed to win in the last few seconds or last few minutes of the game, come back and that kind of thing. And I had a feeling last week that somewhere, that luck will run out. And unfortunately, it was against a Bulls, which didn't look bad at all. I mean, they were running nice angles. Monestein is now again the talk of the town. Looks like Mone of old, and people are even thinking of him as an option for the British and Irish Lions. But just to that point, it's been one game. So Mone will have to play a few games just to and bring that same performance, and then you'll definitely be able to be considered for next year's tour.
And I think our discussion was when we had our unbiased discussion, it was a discussion about wanneer gebeur dit vir die bulle. Ons kyk na hulle team sheets en ons check, you've got Monestein, Connor Hendricks at inside center. You've got young wings, pace to burn. Stedman Gans, really taking he's taken Super Rugby and locked by storm. Gio Aplon played at fullback, obviously got injured. You look at their pack of forwards, and it just didn't happen. And all of a sudden, we knew they had that performance in them. All of a sudden, it clicks against the Stormers, and they just looked the part. But obviously, great, for both the Stormers and the Bulls, it doesn't get any easier this week. So let's have a sneak peek at the fixtures. The Stormers take the trip to Kimberley, and then the Bulls in that big game, the feature game of the weekend, obviously. The Bulls takes on the Lions in Johannesburg. A big game also on Friday evening when the informed Sharks takes on the Cheetahs. That is obviously for me the best side in this competition. That obviously was gaan vonke see die wedstryd. The Sharks obviously needs to win the game, but it's going to take I would say a very, very big effort to beat a Cheetah side. Although the Sharks are at home, it's going to take a big effort. But obviously the big game, Lions versus the Bulls. Ek wil nie die Lions visie. The Bulls with some momentum. I'm really, really weary that the Bulls might even go to Joburg and duplicate a performance like the one they had against the Stormers.
Yeah, I mean the Bulls are looking at, if this was their moment, their watershed moment, the past weekend, then we've received big things for them. So I mean, playing over the Yuckskei shouldn't be a problem for them at all. They've been successful for many a year on eminent Ellis Park. So yeah, I actually think it will be that game will definitely go the Bulls' way. The way they played this last weekend, I don't see Lions going past that. But yeah, for me the big game is Griquas.
In Kimberley.
Kijk, enige game op Kimberley, of in Kimberley tenminste, as a groot wedstrijd. So but I mean the pick of the games definitely would be the Lions versus the Bulls. And Cheetahs have a point to prove. Yeah. They've been set aside with regards to next year's plans, but they've shown in the first couple of games that they want to prove a point.
No, for sure. So guys, there you have your fixtures for the Super Rugby Unlocked for this weekend. Again, a few hot fixtures to look forward to. For all the Cape Town fans there, it's going to be tough in Kimberley, but obviously we hope that the Stormers can turn it around, because it was really not a performance to be proud upon.
Let's take a look at the log.
So there we have the log. The Bulls after that victory, right on top. Alberic and your Stormers obviously surpassed by the Sharks who moves into the bronze medal position there. One point better than your Stormers at this moment.
Who would have? Wie sou gedink het hy nie, man? Wie sou gedink het?
Funny game of rugby. Die rugbybal is nie rond nie.
Nee, precies. And I mean, with that said, with looking at this weekend's fixtures between the Sharks and Cheetahs, that's they're vying for position number 2. So that's quite important. Yeah. So that will be an interesting game to watch, of course. But yeah, Stormers hoping to kick back. Griquas obviously at the bottom of the log. not doing too well at the moment. But yeah, you know, there's Stormers has been successful there before, and yeah, I hope they can turn it around this coming weekend.
Oh, for sure. So, guys, there we have it. Our log and our Super Rugby Unlocked preview, and obviously our predictions for this weekend. But you know, we've got Dewald Willems there saying go Cheetahs. He's all the way there from Bloemfontein. But our 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 episode tonight was all about the Springboks. You know, and again, you know, what a performance the Springboks. If you look at where Rassie Erasmus came with this team, Alberic, to turn it around, and then obviously to go to Japan and win the World Cup. Surely that turnaround will probably go in the rugby history books as one of the most notable turnarounds in rugby history.
Massive. And it actually ended up, you know, watching a few of the older shows last year, you know, a few of the talk shows that happened, especially in the UK, and you know, just listening to the pre-match, you know, predictions, and they didn't give the Boks any chance of winning that game. It was, you know, they were very brutal in their approach and just saying that there's no way they're going to see the Springboks coming back, especially and they were obviously judging the Springboks on the fact that the Wales game, the Welsh game, didn't go very well, and it's a kicking fest. But yeah, the Boks definitely showed. And when you watch the game again, you know, and Chasing the Sun, you just saw, you know, that the brilliance of Rassie coming through, and how he, you know, he outmaneuvered Eddie Jones. You know, the world had a lot to say about Eddie Jones, but Rassie really, you know, brought it to the table, and yeah, brought the cup back home with that.
No, for sure, and right through the Rugby World Cup, if we need to take a step back, we started with that big game against New Zealand, where we were really in it for quite some time, and then New Zealand obviously got their strangle on the game. They took it away, and a lot of people, when we lost that game, a lot of the pundits said, you know what, the winner of this match would probably go on and win the World Cup, and the winner of that match was New Zealand. And obviously there was one big variable throughout the World Cup which nobody could calculate, and that was the Japanese performance, because they took out along the way, they took out some of the big performances, or the big contenders, and one of them being Ireland, and all of a sudden people sat up straight and said, wait a minute, it was actually a good game to lose for the Springboks, because now they have that, you know, they have that
easier
edge,
route.
and yeah, let's not call it the easier route, with all respect to Japan, because you know, with all respect to the Japan, but you would always put the Springboks to win against Japan in Japan, especially after they lost against Japan in the previous World Cup. Mentally, they would have been switched on, and you know, at the end of the day, perhaps the loss against New Zealand was I would say the turning point for the Springboks, and it was, because we went on, we never lost a game again.
No, look, it's you know, if you look at everything, you know, you'd almost think if Rassie was that brilliant, he maybe orchestrated that loss, man. But yeah, the way, you know, watching Cat, you know, Chasing the Sun, and now he planned everything, even the fact that he chose, you know, one of his warm-up games as being the against Japan. You almost had that feeling that somewhere along the line they would be playing Japan at some point. So that all played, you know, when it got to quarterfinals, we had to play Japan. It was an easier route for us, because we had played them, we won them before, we were comfortable winning them in the warm-up games, and obviously with the fact that there was a lot of off-field you know, issues with regards to you know, the Japanese not being as friendly as they were, you know, in the beginning stages. They managed to overcome that, and they overcame a very vibrant, you know, Japanese side. But at the end of the day, we knew they would pop them. I mean, we knew that the Boks had that edge. I mean, we couldn't. Ek sou nie 2015 kon oordoen nie. Ek sou dit kon survive. So yeah, we're just glad how it turned out.
So guys, we asked the question earlier in the week, you know, share some photos, share some videos. And before we get there, we're just going to ask. We see there's a lot of traffic on our social media feed. Just a broad question. We will show some of them now. Do you recall your apart from the Springboks lifting that Webb Ellis Cup at the end of the final? Do you recall the most memorable moment or that most favorite moment? Even us, having to watch the Rugby World Cup on television. Do you have that standout moment that you think, this was the special moment in the Rugby World Cup, one that I would remember? Like in the '95 World Cup, we had the Peter Hendricks try, we had the tackles on Jonah Lomo. We still remember those many years back. Now, Barry, any moments that really stand out for you?
I think the biggest moment of the tournament for me was, obviously the final, but the way we dominated England in the scrums. That for me was, our forward pack was phenomenal. We spoke about it last week as well with regards to the Bledisloe Cup, and how the All Blacks, the pack look, and how the Australian pack look. Hands down, I still think our pack is, if we had to use our same pack and have them ready to play and have a match fit to play to play the All Blacks and the Aussies, we're definitely able to give them and take them to the cleaners, because the way we played in that final, the way we drove, those forwards back, and in contact situations was something else. The way we kept them off a line for, I think, something like 8 or 9 minutes, just pure guts and glory in those few moments. That was my moment of the World Cup. Surely,
sure.
You can obviously think of Kobus Reinach's, hat-trick of tries, and obviously Marcus William Pimpi's try in the final, and obviously Cheslin Colby. But yeah, that stood out to me. I think that forward pack laid the platform for a very dominant performance by the Boks.
Heine Wenzel, most of the World Cup winning team never played 7 weeks. It's significant.
Very interesting. Yeah, no, for sure.
It's significant, and Heine being spot on and 100% correct. London obviously saying they Rassie unearthed some talent, and speaking of London and Heine's comment, if you look at the team, you have Damien Delendi coming from Milnerton, Peter Steph the Tway from Riebeek here outside of Malmesbury. You had a lot of late bloomers. Cheslin Colby, in my opinion, who's the best rugby player in the world at the moment. A lot of people said, and amongst them, a guy called Nick Mallett said he will perhaps not make it as a test wing.
Yeah,
he needs to move to a number 9 position. Rassie comes, he picks him out of France, gives him the opportunity to play, and we all know what Chesy did. Not only in the World Cup, he was a merit selection number 1. Then he had to replace Sabu and Kosi along the line because of injury, and he became our kingpin player. And what a try in the Rugby World Cup final! A moment I want us to take back, and obviously we all remember those 2 tries. Mapimpi obviously fielding a ball, or Lucanio fielding a ball from a Mapimpi's chip, and Mapimpi rounding that one off, and then that beautiful try from Cheslin rounding Farrell to score. Take one step back to the semi-final. You have a kick to win the semi-final, and you have a gentleman called Henry Pollard to kick that, to obviously convert that penalty. It brings back shivers, because I watched the game live. To be honest, Wales really played well. They really dominated us, and then we get that moment late in the game where we could get into their territory. We knew that a drop kick or a penalty would seal the deal. We get the penalty, maar aan die Afrikaanse woord sê jy kan die penalty kry, maar iemand moet die penalty skop. And up step Henry Pollard, and from the moment he connected with the ball, it was nowhere else, and that is, kyk jy, hy sê as daar nog 'n paal in die middel was, het hy 'n paal raak geskop. Dit was moontlik in die middle, but you know what it takes to kick a ball like that under those pressure, knowing that you need to obviously, if you miss this one, it might go to extra time, or you might even not make the final. So for me, that moment's still fresh in my mind because that gave us the opportunity to go to the final and play England. Rodwell, obviously, they also he confirms, Pollard's calmness through the game, but he's talking about the final. I would assume,
final.
But that kick obviously stands out for me, Alberic. And today we can just reflect and say, if it wasn't for that kick, would we have seen the brilliance of a Mapimpi, of a Dwayne Vermeulen? I think Dwayne was man of the match in the final, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he was.
And that try, that kick took us there
to
experience that and obviously to bring the cup home.
I think Andre, sometimes I just think he gets very, he doesn't get the credit he deserves. I think he's brought that, calmness, to the kicking, to our kicking game. He's also brought that attacking, ability. Sometimes we maybe not as attacking as Elton Jantjies maybe, and as does have the flair maybe as Elton has. But what he does bring is that getting over the advantage line and making sure we have forward ball, and linking with the backs obviously is great with that as well. I mean, we've spoken about him maybe playing inside centre at a later stage as well. So Andre does bring that, and that's exactly what the Boks been missing for quite a while. And we're going to miss him. I mean, we're fortunate enough. Yes, we have Elton Jantjies that can, fill that mold if we had to play rugby championships. But Andre is just another player. He's just, I mean, if you remember him coming on, as a youngster playing against the All Blacks and scoring 2 tries against them. I think it was still under Heineke Meyer. Just shows the brilliance of the man. So yeah, he doesn't get the credit he deserves. He's a phenomenal player and definitely, he warrants his big salary overseas.
No, for sure. And obviously, when that final whistle went, was ons allemaal in ekstase.
Yeah.
Or we were, we hugged each other. Ons was boer mekaar. Ons was buite onsself. Because ons geliefde Springbokke het natuurlijk huis toe gekom met hy gesogte William Webb Ellis trophy. And we asked you to share some of that moments, special moments. Guys, thanks so much. Have a look at what a victory for the Springboks means to this country, to our community, and to South Africa as a whole.
Yeah, great moments, man.
Lekker. This is what rugby means to our community, just special moments, and that is some of the clips. There were many more submitted.
Yes.
Obviously, in our half an hour condensed, we could not get to all of them. But these are the original clips that don't necessarily make the headline news. But as daar in die garage, in die kroeg, the one clip comes from China, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
it's celebrations in China.
Yeah.
Special moments.
No, for sure, and we're just glad. I'm going to show a couple more pictures. We've actually had a couple of Bok fans, and we'll run through them quickly. There's a couple. Yes, one from Janelle McClune. She's all the way out in Namibia. Die manne wat so lekker gesing het netto. Is dieselfde groep manne. En 'n paar All Blacks wat baie happy like oor die Bokke wat gewen het. Thanks Steve Goliath for that. Charlton Adams has sent this photo of his photo at the World Cup and the World Cup final. Further to run. Showing what they were doing, and with the World Cup, enjoying the cup with Sia in the background.
I see,
Mama J also coming through, having a great time with some friends. And here's another pic from Namibia. Quite a lot of Namibian supporters that backed the Boks in this World Cup. Tanya Goliath as well. We have Richard Ferris all the way from Namibia as well, showing what he was wearing the green and gold, and not showing who we're supporting on the day. As well as there's another one, Henrik Ayman, also from Namibia. So guys, thanks a lot. Really appreciate it. It's fantastic to see. Really love it. Also, that gets our blood pumping for next year. Hopefully we can play get into rugby again. So so thanks guys. Sure. Really appreciate it. We'll run through a few comments quickly as we're going along.
It's just good to see that we are, people from Namibia, 3 people from China, they're all tuning in, watching Tekkel live. And I think it's just Richard that sent us the photo.
Yes, Richard says, Stephen van Rijn, you still owe us a fully paid hunting trip for the bet you lost with the Boko winning the World Cup. So Stephen, hier kom jong. En nooit samen asseblief.
Ja, definitief Richard daarso wat net op is wat hom toekom.
Yes.
And I think all friendly banter, but obviously rugby runs through our veins. It's serious stuff. Again, Heinrich, his most memorable moment there, the defense in the final, drawing the line in the sand. Shafiq coming through there. We won the game at the toss already. There's a lot of debate there. Sia actually dominating Ferrell at that toss. And we had a few psychologists looking at that moment saying, you could see Ferrell was all over the place, and Sia obviously there already being very dominant. So I think it was just a special moment. The Boks came out to play. If you on the Friday of that World Cup final would have asked any pundit, if you think the Boks would win this game, what would the margin be? No one. I am sure no one on the earth would have thought the Boks would run away with the game like they did. They would have probably said perhaps with a penalty, perhaps with a drop goal. The Boks came out. The game was sealed. We were celebrating long before the final whistle. What a performance by a special Springbok team.
Ja, kyk, hy man wat hy kap, in Grey wat hy kan al na die tweede helfte kon hy of na die toe hulle afgeskop het, kon hy al begin het. Hy kon klaar gewees het met So I mean, so dominant we were, and again I mentioned earlier the fact that the English pundits didn't give us any chance, and it was good to see them the 1 week they being very vocal and showing their support telling us exactly who they think is going to win. And then a week later, very tail between the legs, like hats off, guys, the Boks were better. And it wasn't a game where they were saying, the Boks, they did this, they did that. The Boks was clearly better. It's the same kind of feeling you got from the All Blacks when the English won them in the semi-final. That's exactly what happened in the following week with the English. So the Boks played phenomenal. They were just a magical performance, and mentally, the way Rassie insisted, beating the guy with your mind is definitely something that I'm going to be watching. The next Bok game I'll be watching, I'll be looking for those finer things, body language, and just seeing you know, how a player can be dominated just in that situation. I mean, Farrell was all over the place, like you mentioned.
No, for sure. And then obviously Peter stepped away this week, just cautioning us, saying, we know we have a British and Irish Lions tour coming up. Die Engelse en die Wallisse is nog baie gekwest na die semi-final en final losses, gekwest ego-wise. Nee, ons weet die Engelse, hulle wen enige span voor 'n game. They would write ek weet nie, sommige van hulle, they make the world sides and the rugby IRB player of the year list in the English local media. Then I think, yes, Owens, and similarly the cricket side. So each and every time we beat the English teams, whether it is netball, whether it's cricket, whether we beat them on the rugby field, or whether it is just Ernie Els getting one over Lee Westwood, is fine. Dat hulle verloor. Dit baat jy raak kwaad nie, want die waarheid is die narheid. En totdat julle natuurlik die Brits en Ierse Lions volgende jaar by ons uitkom, bly ons die wêreldkampioene vir die volgende 4 jaar. Please show some respect for Sia Kolisi, Rassie Erasmus, Jacques Nienaber and their side. To each and everyone that tuned in tonight, that submitted some of the comments. Alberic, to you, my co-presenter, always on time, always looking fine in his Springboks outfit. Guys, please check us out at Tekkel Chat on YouTube, Facebook en Twitter. 'n Lekker aand vir julle. Tot en met volgende donderdag aand sê ons bokke bo.
Altyd.